Benvenuti guerrieri. Questo è puro. Questo è vero. Questo è bare knuckle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. What a time to be alive.
Alright, so Conor McGregor just finished a promotional press conference for the BKFC's upcoming event in Italy. And look, I know that we were all hoping for another addition to the coked up Conor Chronicles, but honestly, it seems like he came into this one relatively sober, which is disappointing. Believe me when I say that when I was watching this press conference live, I was examining this guy's face and body language like I was a fucking forensic scientist. But comparing how he acted in this press conference versus previous ones, I really don't think that he was high on coke. Well, at least not nearly as much as we've seen in the past. With that being said, I definitely think it would have been a better idea for Conor to have walked into this press conference hopped up on anything really, because this ended up being a very awkward event. And I do think that the language barrier between Conor and the Italian crowd had something to do with the weird vibes throughout this press conference, but at the same time, a lot of the awkwardness had to do with Conor himself as well as the bizarre production choices from the BKFC team.
We stand here today on the land of warriors, of gladiators, thank you God, where men stepped into the arena to test themselves in the purest form of combat. No gloves, no gimmicks, just sheer will and determination. And now, centuries on, that same spirit is reborn. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, the world's fastest growing fighting organization, comes to Italy for the first time ever on April 26th.
Yo, that silence was loud. So apart from the painfully long applause break where Conor smiled and was nodding up and down to encourage the crowd to cheer, only for them to respond with dead silence, I want to point out how awkward Conor's delivery is throughout this monologue. Of course, this guy's reading a prepared statement, and who knows if he wrote it or if he had someone write it for him, but every word out of his mouth comes out sounding pretty unnatural. And I brought up a similar point on my previous Conor video, but the fact that this guy went from one of the smoothest operators on the mic to someone who's become so hit and miss with their delivery is very strange to me. And as you guys know, I do think that the drugs and partying have drastically affected his speaking abilities, but of course it's worth mentioning that Conor's taken some pretty big shots to the head throughout the years, and maybe, just maybe, his brain is starting to slow down due to CTE.
On April 26th, we make history. We bring the fire of BKFC to Italian soil, and the world will be watching live and exclusive on DAZN. So to our fighters, Camozzi, Hunt, Jimmy Sweeney, Ricardo Franco, and the many women on the card, train hard, prepare smart, and prepare for war. BKFC fans, you're in for a treat. You're in for something unforgettable. Italy, fighting is home. Let's go.
I don't know what it is, man. There's just something kinda off about Conor throughout this entire press conference. The guy seemed to struggle to make it through his opening statement. There's a lot of awkward pauses, he stumbled over his words multiple times, and he just kinda seems uncomfortable speaking to the crowd, which is kinda crazy to think about seeing as it's Conor McGregor that we're talking about. And even though I love the fact that Conor does try to bring enthusiasm and spirit as a promoter, because I feel like every other promoter in every other combat sport is such a boring suit these days, it's tough to hear him struggle through his opening statement, and it did make me cringe quite a bit as I was watching this live.
Are you gonna be fighting as well, or only promoting?
Yes, yes. The warrior spirit that burns inside me strongly. For sure. If you think I'm up here giving these speeches and leading these men into battle, and I won't step in there myself, think again. For sure, Conor McGregor will fight in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Mark my words.
Do you guys remember when Conor broke his leg against Dustin Poirier and then he angrily screamed into the microphone, "This is not over"? Well, as of today, that was 1,317 days ago, and we have still yet to see this guy return to competition. And we all know how McGregor's song and dance goes. Every couple of months, he'll drop some training footage where he beats up one of the intro class members of his gym to make it seem like he's focused on fighting, only to not step into the ring. Friendly reminder here, this guy still has 2 fights left on his UFC contract, and seeing as Dana blocked Conor from boxing against KSI or Logan Paul, then I think it's very safe to assume that he won't allow him to do a BKFC fight until he finishes out his UFC contract. I mean, look, if Conor was really that serious about fighting in BKFC, then he really should have just fought Michael Chandler last June, even with the broken toe. After all, this is what Conor had to say about Rafael dos Anjos when RDA broke his foot.
So I was expecting it, you know. I looked at the picture Dos Anjos put up, and it's a bruise. I mean, I heard ice works wonders. What do you want me to say?
And let's not forget that Alex Pereira replaced Conor McGregor at UFC 303, where he fought and won against Yuri Prohaska with 2 broken toes. So yeah, Conor, ice and ibuprofen, it does wonders. Look, of course I'm kidding to an extent. I don't think that fighters should be fighting with broken bones, but at the same time, I feel like if Conor was actually serious about getting back into the octagon, then he would have done it by now.
Is there a fighter that you would like to fight against?
I'd like a world title in this company. I would wish to be the bare knuckle world title, world champion. You know, there are many bouts, showcase bouts. You could say Mike Perry. You could say Jeremy Stevens. You could say a rematch against Eddie Alvarez. You could say many matches, you know, but the lightweight title, who's the champion right now? Lightweight, welterweight. Let's see. I am open. We will see when it comes.
Now, McGregor has been saying for months now that he wants to become a BKFC world champion, but can someone explain to me how this guy can be a champion of the same company that he's a co-owner of? Like, is there not some sort of conflict of interest in competing, let alone being a champion under a promotion that you promote for? Don't get me wrong, I do think it would be pretty sweet to watch Conor do some bare-knuckle fights against Mike Perry or Jeremy Stevens, but the idea of a promoter fighting their own employees just seems pretty strange in my opinion.
Country, Roman Catholic country. I came here with my son, my newborn son, Rian McGregor, and we christened him in the Vatican. So we are a very religious family, and we came to Italy, and we christened our son. That was my experience and relationship with Italy to date, and now I'm here.
Ah yes, the day that you christened your son at the Vatican. That must have been a really joyful day for the McGregor family. He went to Italy, enjoyed the beautiful Italian scenery, christened his son in the holiest place in the Catholic world, and then later that day he assaulted an Italian DJ where he broke the guy's nose in the process. What a lovely religious day from Conor. Anyways, then the BKFC team pulled out this super cringy, super staged entrance of Lorenzo Hunt, who they claimed couldn't make it to the press conference.
What is your response to Lorenzo Hunt not making the trip, not being here at this press conference?
I would say just bring him out. You know, I think he wants to beat Conor's entrance here. I already know he's here, so go ahead and come out. Don't hide. You can come out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lorenzo Hunt.
Told you. Hey, that seems like you, huh? You want to steal it? You want to steal it? We know. We already know.
Bro, what in the WWE fuck is this? This is what I mean when I said that the BKFC team had some extremely awkward and uncomfortable things planned for this press conference. Earlier in the event, they made a big deal about Lorenzo not being able to make it to the event at all, and then all of a sudden he's just backstage ready to make his entrance once his opponent Chris Camozzi tells him to come out. Then you have Lorenzo snatching Chris's belt from the table, and that was obviously supposed to remind people of Conor snatching Jose Aldo's belt from back in the day, and oh my god, it's just so embarrassing. Like, this is just not the way to get people to take your promotion seriously, and I say that as someone who enjoys BKFC a lot. I think that they're doing a lot of great things over there. So to pull these dumb little antics that aren't fooling anybody during their press conferences just feels pretty sad and pathetic.
When I'm thinking that you are thinking at Gracie, Fedor, and you.
Fedor Emelianenko?
Of course.
Stay tuned. We might have something, announcement with Fedor Emelianenko. Hey, Fedor, we're waiting. Some news might be coming with Fedor Emelianenko. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship is signing and acquiring the best fighters of all time.
Dude, I really hope Conor's kidding when he says this. Fedor Emelianenko, the guy is turning 49 this year and he hasn't fought in over 5 years at this point. Does the BKFC really want to pursue someone like this? I get that it's Fedor, but it's not like we're living in 2004 anymore, so if Conor and BKFC actually do end up signing him, then I do think it'll be a bad look for the company. Let me ask you guys, would anybody really be happy to see a damn near 50-year-old Fedor squaring off with guys that are literally half his age? And there's really nothing of note to talk about with the remainder of the press conference because honestly, it just gets really boring. Conor starts rambling a lot during his responses where he stumbles over his words quite a bit. Conor reveals that BKFC is going to go to Dubai and Australia later this year, and then the fighters are asked why they fight, and that takes up all the remaining time that they had. Yeah, man, this was a disappointing press conference performance out of Conor. And I'm not saying that because he's not coked up out of his mind like he was for the previous pressers, but more so because he came across a bit uncomfortable and out of place. You know, at this point I've seen so many press conferences where Conor is featured as both a fighter and as a promoter, and I gotta say that this one is for sure the least interesting one to watch. And honestly, the most interesting parts to watch were the parts where Conor struggled. It's so weird to see him awkwardly read off a prepared statement where his cadence and flow felt unnatural, and having him do applause breaks to no applause was painful to watch. A lot of times throughout this press conference, it felt like Conor didn't know what he was doing up there, and now that his speaking skills have gone down the toilet, his charisma and bravado weren't able to carry him through it like we've seen in the past. And even when Conor kinda sorta got into a groove, his responses all felt forced and tense. It constantly felt as if he knew what he wanted to say, but he couldn't get the words out, and the entire time he was shouting into his mic. I don't know, maybe the antics and theatrics that the BKFC team injected into the press conference threw him off a little bit, but it felt so strange to see Conor McGregor, of all people, have such a dicey public speaking event. And I'm not gonna lie, a big part of me feels that if this is the Conor McGregor that we get when he's not coked up, then I think I'd rather see him walk into all future BKFC press conferences after railing some fat lines. In fact, BKFC should make him sign a contract that he can't host another press conference unless he's hopped up on Columbia nose beers. Because I'd rather have Conor screaming and shouting like a madman on stage than whatever this version of Conor was here. This version of Conor was boring and hard to watch. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about the clips that I showed you from today's press conference. Do you think that Conor's ever going to step foot into the BKFC ring, or do you think he's going to stay in his current lane as a promoter? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.